Stampers. This is Marie Bennett at blackberriesandcream.net, and today I'm going to make this card with you. It's an unusual card for me because it doesn't have much stamping. It's mostly embossing. If you look at the card, it's embossed with a clear embossing powder. Gives it a very subtle detail in the background, and then the stark contrast of the white embossing powder on the black cardstock. So this card uses two stamp sets, Garden in Bloom, which is in the current annual catalog, and which may be on the endangered species list, because our retiring stamp sets list is going to be coming out soon, and it wouldn't surprise me to see this on there, but I'll know more in another couple weeks. And this stamp set, which is available as a celebration gift, a free choice that you can make with a purchase of $50 or more, and we're going to be using the Hello, My Friend from this one. It's called Hello is the name of the stamp set. And then from Garden in Bloom, we're just using this large flower right here, and then this smaller one. So that's all the stamping we're going to be doing on this card. We're going to use a piece of Watermelon Wonder, which has been cut at 4 1/4 by 11, and then scored down the center at 5 1/2. So this card is going to have this orientation, opening at the bottom. And then on the inside of the card I have just stamped My Friend in Memento Tuxedo Black ink. This piece of Whisper White cardstock was cut at 4 by 5 1/4, and I'm just going to adhere it to the inside of the card using snail adhesive. And leaving about 1/8 of an inch border all the way around, like so. Okay, the inside of the card is done. On the outside of the card there are two layers, and the first one is just basic gray cardstock cut at 4 1/8 by 5 3/8, and I'm going to go ahead and adhere that using snail adhesive. And this is going to have a scant, maybe a 1/16 of an inch border all the way around. That. Okay, so the final layer is the basic black cardstock, cut at 4 by 5 1/4, and this needs some stamping. So I'm going to start with the Hello, because the first thing I want to do is the embossing with the Whisper White, because if I do my clear embossing first, there's a chance that some of the Whisper White powder will stick to my the places where I have the clear embossing. So I want to do the white embossing first, and then the next time around, if the clear sticks to the white, it's no big deal. So I'm going to do white first, and for that I need my Versamark, and I need my embossing buddy, and I'm just going to wipe the front of the cardstock with the embossing buddy, keep any stray embossing powder from sticking where I don't want it. Okay, so we'll start with Hello. This is a nice bold greeting and I want it toward the bottom right corner. Let that embossing ink soak into the paper a little bit. And all the rest of the white embossing is done using this large flower image from Garden in Bloom. And I want a full flower kind of up here toward the top. And a partial flower right here. Another full flower, maybe right here, maybe not. Doesn't really matter, except for just balance where you put the images. So I'm just putting them at random all the way around the card. Okay, now I'm going to get my white embossing powder, and I'm just going to sprinkle this embossing powder over the top of the card into my little tray here. And then just kind of let it run off into the tray. Watch where I put my fingers and give it a flick. Okay, now I'm going to take this over to my heat tool and emboss it, and I'll be right back. Okay, so the white embossing is done, and the next thing I'm going to do is take this small flower image and use the Versamark and just stamp some random small flowers around, and then I'm going to emboss these using a clear embossing powder. I'll be right back. Okay, so I have finished embossing those little flowers, that subtle design on the back of this basic black cardstock. And now I need to, before I adhere it to the card, I need to add the ribbon. And I'm using a piece that is 6 inches long, and I'm just going to tape it around to the back of the card, like maybe right here. And I'm just going to use some Scotch tape for this part. Okay, now I can adhere it to the card, and I'm going to use the Tombow liquid glue. And this layer gets the same very thin 1/16 inch border all the way around. So you have just a really, really subtle basic gray accent around the edge. And then the last step in making this card is to tie on the bow. And it's not going to be a bow, it's just a knot. So I put the ribbon around. It's another piece about the same length, I think, 6.5 inches. Put it around and then just tie a knot. And this ribbon has a shiny side and a dull side, so I like to manipulate it so that the shiny side is up on both ends of the bow. Like that. Right, now just one more thing to do. Using my snips, I'm going to cut both ends at an angle. Which way do I want it? I guess I want it this way. And then about the same length over here. And I can position this wherever I want to on this ribbon just to kind of get it centered good. And then pull it a little tighter. And it's done. That card is finished. I really enjoyed making this this card. I like the subtle accent of the clear embossing in the background with the little flowers. So I hope you'll give this card a try. Thanks for watching, and happy stampin'.